And away we go. Good evening and welcome to Defensible Risk. My name is Dan and it is Wednesday evening. Wednesday evenings is when we do our cybersecurity talk show, and I am really excited that you guys are here hanging out, and I really do appreciate it. I am running just a touch behind, it feels, so I am hoping to not be too out of sorts. But we'll figure it out. We'll definitely figure it out. It's me, Deacon. Josh is old. Monkey Bars, thank you all for being here. Josh is old, coming in hot with the 10 biddies. Thank you very much, Josh. I very much appreciate it. Josh is old says, you know, Defensible Risk, that would be me. It gives me the option to ban you. I wonder what would happen. What would happen if that happened? I don't think you can actually ban the streamer. The broadcaster is a protected class higher than the mods. I can turn that around and fire away at you, but I don't think you can actually do it this direction. It would be interesting though. I know in some chats they have a fake ban, which is actually kind of fun, where you make it a command that you can use with your chatbot, right? And you just put !ban and then a username, and it says so-and-so has been banned, a little kappa and whatnot. And I do find that entertaining because there are times where it lets you express whatever it is you think you need to express. So yeah, really excited to be here. Let me run through this sting real quick like. At DefensibleRisk on Twitter, DefensibleRisk@protonmail.com if you'd like to email me securely. I've helpfully placed those right below my smiling face. DefensibleRisk.com for an archive of our technical and cybersecurity related content, which will include this show, which will be up tomorrow evening. Twitch does have 24-hour exclusivity to our content, so after that 24-hour embargo, we'll make sure we put it up there. The secret, of course, is I upload it right away. I just don't let it go. I just don't post it. That you can schedule the post. So we'll make sure that we don't follow, or that we do follow all of the rules. So that's DefensibleRisk.com, and if you're watching anywhere else, it is twitch.tv/DefensibleRisk. Not so much for this show, but for some of the other shows that we do, our workout shows. We stream workouts 5 mornings a week. If you haven't joined us before, Sunday mornings 5:30 a.m. Pacific, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday 4:30 a.m. Pacific. That will include tomorrow. We use an app called Pulsoid, and it's for the heart rate monitor. The short version is they actually put some streamers up on their front page as well. So I always like to say it, twitch.tv/DefensibleRisk. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for hanging out. We're talking cybersecurity this evening. I did get a little caffeine into me, so I need to make sure that I slow down just a touch with my speaking, but I also have water with me. And I need to work on this shot a little bit. I can see that right now. It's not so bad with this, but I know this little guy, when we go to our next scene, will actually be look odd. I'm just going to say that. It'll look odd. So that's okay. We'll fix it. We'll figure it out as we go. So yeah, cybersecurity is my absolute passion. I absolutely love it. I get the opportunity to work in the field, which is pretty darn great. If you love what you do, then they say if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. That's not true. I work pretty stinking hard some days, but I still do enjoy what I get the opportunity to do, and look forward to talking about cybersecurity with you guys tonight. So if at any point you have any questions related to exactly what we're talking about, related to cybersecurity stuff in general, please feel free to fire away in chat. If it's other stuff related, I would welcome you back to one of our other streams where we're a little more freeform. I do want to try and stay cybersecurity focused tonight, if that's all right. So I think with that, yeah, the plan is I've got 2 articles, one that we're going to spend most of our time on, and if we have time at the end, we'll get to the other one. So the first one, let me put my eyes on here. 8 steps to being almost completely anonymous online. How does that sound? It sounds pretty great to me. I like my privacy. I like my pseudo-anonymity in the online arena, and these glasses are filthy, so I'm going to go ahead and clean them. So 8 steps to being almost completely anonymous online. That was posted on CSO Online on February 11th by JM Porup, and I'll make sure we include links when this gets posted to Defensible Risk. The other article, if we do have time, it's a little more inside baseball, more really aimed at cybersecurity, but Don't just report metrics, analyze, understand, and monitor them. Try that again. Don't just report metrics, analyze, understand, monitor, and adjust them. These 10 tips will show you how. That was written by Joshua Goldfarb for Dark Reading, also posted on February 11th. That was unintentional. I was going through recent articles, and they just both happened to be published on February 11th. So, again, the plan is we'll start with the first one, 8 steps to being almost anonymous online, and if we have time, then we'll consider getting to the other one. But we'll see how it goes. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to fire away. In the meantime, why don't you join me? We're going to head over to the conference room, and I'm trying to figure out a good way to transition this, but there's not one, so we're just going to push the button. So, we're in the conference room this evening. I found this one, and I'm like, I really like this conference room. I could actually do some business here. It's not too terrible. So, I'm going to read the intro, and then we'll just run through. Once more, 8 steps to being almost completely anonymous online, by J.M. Porup, senior writer for CSO. That's csoonline.com, February 11th, 2020. So it starts out, anonymity and privacy are not about closing the door when you go to the bathroom. For the individual, they might be about personal autonomy, political liberty, or just protecting yourself in the digital world. So, setting the stage, right? It's not just about having privacy. It's about being able to perhaps speak in a more private or more anonymous fashion, or communicate, not necessarily even speech when we think of like free speech, but speaking amongst peers and having some sense of freedom to communicate what you think without anyone else listening in. We always have to start with that. Who might be listening in? You have the obvious choices, right? Big Brother, the federal government, regardless of which government you happen to live under. Many times the government is listening in on internet communications. Now there's a lot of stuff to cover, and so if you are in a more sensitive position, whether a business leader or in journalism or in some kind of social activism or political activism, whatever it happens to be, there's a good chance that you're being listened to. On top of that, just about all communications are monitored for, let's say, keywords or patterns or destinations. If you are communicating, let's say you live in the United States and you are communicating with someone in Iran. I'm just going to pick on Iran. You're going to get flagged and the government will start to watch you. It could be perfectly harmless. It could be a friend, family member, colleague from college, whatever it happens to be. Just be aware if you are communicating with countries that are less friendly to your government than others might be, chances are good that your communications have been flagged and that you are being monitored. Simple as that. Not just the government though. Big corporations, big tech. We always talk about big tech, right? Facebook, Alphabet. We used to just call them Google, but now they've got the bigger company, Alphabet. Amazon. Amazon's one of the #1 data collectors on the planet. People don't think of Amazon being like that, but that's, they're that place where I buy stuff, right? Yeah, no, they collect a lot of data. Apple has a privacy face that they present to the public, but they do collect their share of data as well. And Microsoft. Those are sort of the 5 biggies in the tech world, and all of them collect probably more data than they actually need. But that's what they do. So if you do have an Amazon Echo or Alexa device, oh well, I have one sitting right over here. You can't see it, but it is currently unplugged because I do not leave it plugged in full time. I appreciate what it does, and I really do enjoy what it does, but yeah, we make sure it's not plugged in when we're not using it. Smaller businesses as well. Your ISP, your internet service provider, monitors your communications, like it or not. They take that data and they usually sell it to advertisers to tell them what websites you're visiting. Now, they're not necessarily reading every email. If you use their email service, they have that ability to do so. But if you are just using them for web communications, they know where you're going because it all passes through their networks, and they collect that data, aggregate it. Sometimes they'll anonymize it, hopefully. But they do sell that data on and use that as an additional revenue stream. You didn't think your internet was just that cheap for free, right? Then, of course, you have local government. Perhaps if you are under some kind of investigation, they can be watching what you're doing, usually in coordination with federal agencies, but not necessarily if they work with a local ISP, especially if you live in a smaller area. They could be working with your local ISP to put what's effectively a wiretap on your communications. So that's just if you're doing something wrong, right? Or doing something questionable. If you work in journalism, you can bet you're being watched. There's a number of ways to get on different lists, but you can bet you're being watched. And again, commercial entities, private companies, they do it to make money. So they're definitely watching your data. So yeah, I think that sort of covers the people that we're thinking about when we talk about anonymity and privacy online. So the first section in this paper is titled Privacy versus Anonymity. So let's set some terms here, right? The universe believes in encryption, a wise man once opined, because it is astronomically easier to encrypt than it is to brute force decrypt. The universe does not appear to believe in anonymity, however, as it requires significant work to remain anonymous. That is a true story. We are using privacy and anonymity interchangeably, and this is incorrect. An encrypted message may protect your privacy because, hopefully, no one else can read it besides you and the recipient, but encryption does not protect the metadata, and thus your anonymity. Who you're talking to, when, for how long, how many messages, size of attachments, type of communications, is a text message, email, voice call, voice memo, video call. All this information is not encrypted and is easily discoverable by sophisticated hackers with a mass surveillance apparatus, which is most these days. So, privacy versus anonymity. If I can't tell what you've said, you have privacy. If I can't tell who said it, you have anonymity. Are we okay with those terms? I think that's where we're at. So these are some tips and some tools that you can use to not just help your privacy, but also try and help your anonymity. All right, here we go. Number one, use Signal. Signal is an encrypted communications app that you can get for iOS, you can get it for Android. I think it's available on desktop as well. Each person who uses this gets I'm going to try not to get too nerdy technical here, okay? Gets a private encryption key that is used to communicate with other people. Now, if you want to learn about public key cryptography, there are plenty of resources out there. Again, if I say it in a more friendly way, don't hold me to it, because we're trying to communicate here rather than dig into the depths of public key cryptography. So everybody has a public key and a private key. I'll give you the short version. You encrypt with someone's public key and they decrypt with their private key. The math behind it is amazing, and if you're not a math nerd, it'll blow your mind. It certainly blows my mind. When they communicate with you, they take your public key, it's public for a reason, anybody can see it, and encrypt with that, and then send it to you, and you decrypt it with your private key, and it works pretty darn well. Now, Signal doesn't just protect your privacy. It's great about that, but it does a very good job of protecting your anonymity as well, because you don't have to use your real name. So if people are seeing where it's going, so it'll bounce up to the centralized servers and they get redirected out to the intended recipient. So even if somebody's watching it, they can't necessarily tell where it's going to, because that is also encrypted. I put together my message, I send it, the app encrypts it, not only my message for the privacy, but also encrypts all of that metadata and sends it to the central servers. The central servers decrypt the outside portion and say, okay, now it needs to go to this person, re-encrypt it and send it back across the internet. So it's great. It's easy to use. It's much better than it used to be. It used to be kind of difficult to use, honestly, but it's very easy. It's just like a text messaging program or any other messaging program that you're familiar with. It even has emotes in it. So if you feel the need to put a smiley face in there, you can certainly do that. Yeah, once upon a time, that actually wasn't an option. It also includes encrypted voice calls, which are pretty great. You lose quality, of course, when you encrypt your voice, but it's near real time, almost as good as a phone call. I do recommend doing it over Wi-Fi rather than over your data plan, unless you have unlimited data. But if you've got data, if you pay for data or you have data caps, you're definitely going to want to stay over Wi-Fi while you're making encrypted voice calls. But it works really well. It has some group messaging functions, and it can communicate with regular people. I hate to say regular people, that's not really what I mean. People who use non-encrypted SMS or messaging apps. So can it communicate with WhatsApp? No, it can't communicate with WhatsApp. It can't communicate with Facebook Messenger. It's not designed to do that. For encrypted communications, it has to be from Signal on your device to Signal on a different device. But you can communicate, let's say I need to text my wife. I can use the app and it will send it to her. Now you have to keep in mind, it really is regular text messaging at that point, and there is no privacy and no anonymity included when you do it that way. But if you are communicating signal to signal, it is considered particularly secure. So it is the #1 recommendation for this. Use Signal. Now there is a bit of a mantra in cybersecurity that involves Signal. It's use Signal and use Tor. That's sort of something that people will say. If you want to make sure that you're safe online, use Signal, use Tor. And you'll hear this over and over. The first person I think I ever heard it said was the Gruck. If you don't know who the Gruck is, worth finding out. A very smart person involved with cybersecurity and privacy online. But again, that would be a rabbit trail we could spend days on. So guess what point number 2 is? If our mantra is use Signal and use Tor, and point number 1 is use Signal, point number 2, you guessed it, use Tor. Tor is the onion router. It is a proxying software that you install on your device that takes your communications, encrypts them, and then sends them out encrypted through different parts of the web, breaks it up into pieces and spreads it out. And then when it gets to what's called a Tor exit node, it reassembles it so it looks like your data is coming from somewhere else entirely. So if an advertiser is trying to pin down, let's say, I'm just going to pick on this. If an advertiser is trying to pin down where you're at so that they can give you a local advertisement for a local business, whatever it is, they won't be able to do so because you'll look like, let's say you live in Los Angeles, you could be coming out of Tokyo or out of London or out of New York City. And it can change, and ideally it does change frequently. So you get, not only do you look like you're coming out of those 3 places, but you could look like you're coming out of those 3 places at the same time. Sometimes you might hear the term the dark web. This is the deeper, darker parts of the internet that most people don't spend much time in, or any time at all, but you'll hear about it on the news, something like that. This is where you get onto the dark web. I'm not recommending it. I'm just going to say, chat, there are things you can't unsee. That's pretty safe. So there are things you can't unsee. So if you don't really have much reason to go into the dark web portions, avoid it, honestly. It is called the onion router, and those sites are called onion sites. I'm not saying don't use Tor. I'm saying just be smart about what you're doing. What do we got here? You're very familiar with the dark web. All right. Let me make sure I read this. Mephistopheles Lamneth. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. And with a name like that, I'm not surprised, honestly. You throw Mephistopheles in there, I bet you are. So if you're familiar with it, would you agree with me that most regular people should probably avoid it? There's a lot of stuff that you can get into that you just don't need to be involved with, right? But thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you have any insights, you're always welcome to jump in on chat. But Tor by itself is not a bad thing. It's like a hammer. A hammer can be used for good and a hammer can be used for evil. Tor is the same way. Tor is not necessarily bad, not necessarily good. It just is a tool. So if you use it for the powers of good, no problem. You can protect your anonymity and protect your privacy while you're using the internet. Again, if you have somebody watching you and if you just want to avoid large corporations, etc., it's a great tool for that. And it's actually gotten fairly easy to use. Once upon a time, it was a bear, even harder than Signal. Signal used to be difficult to use, but Tor was even worse to get it set up properly, and then it was difficult to get there. Yeah, exactly. Yikes. Somebody changed their name. You're throwing me off here. You are messing with me. Who was this? I'm like, wait a minute, I got no new sub notifications. All right, let me know who you were so I can treat you appropriately. Please carry on. All right, will do. I'm messing with my head. Well, so yeah, for most regular folk, avoid the dark web. Honestly, just you don't need to get involved. But Tor is not a bad thing, like I said. So you can get the Tor browser bundle. It will include the Tor software. It will include a specialized, already set up version of the Firefox web browser. Easy to install, easy to use, and yeah. If you're looking to protect your anonymity, and even if you only use it sometimes, that's not even necessarily a terrible thing too. Honestly, I don't use Tor all the time. Number one, especially at work, we shut that down. Working in cybersecurity, I want to make sure I know what's going across my network because I have liability for what's going across my network. So I want to make sure that it doesn't function in my company. But so I use it. I don't use it all the time. There are times where I do want to get a little more privacy, a little more anonymity. If I'm out in public, if I'm traveling, it's a great tool. Now, if you do use it, and let's say you're traveling overseas, you're traveling outside the borders of your country, you may draw attention to yourself. So be aware. As with much of cybersecurity, you can draw attention to yourself if you are using tools like Tor to protect your privacy, protect your anonymity. But easy to use, and it does a really good job, and it's all pre-set up for you. If you're hardcore, then you definitely want to build your own package, but for most of us, the Tor browser bundle is a great way to go. And it is constantly checked by security researchers to make sure that there are known flaws or weaknesses that would expose you. And if you need to communicate, let's say you're in a whistleblower situation, I'm just going to pick on that. Again, to protect your anonymity, if you need to blow the whistle on whatever organization is out there, then the Tor browser bundle will help you with that. All right, so that's 2. Use Signal, use Tor. Number 3, if you listen to the radio or watch television at all, you may have seen advertisements or heard advertisements, or even online, you've probably seen your share, advertisements for VPN services. Virtual private networks, protect your privacy. There's one radio show that I do listen to. I won't drop any names, but they are sponsored in part by a VPN company, and the VPN service actually works pretty well. But the point here is don't expect anonymity from VPNs, particularly the commercial ones. A lot of the free ones are really bad about privacy, honestly. A lot of them are run by companies that, it will protect your privacy up until it gets to their network. And then they will track everything that you do. Again, a lot of the free ones are like that. They do sell your data. Now, not all of them, but many of them do. So then you get into the paid VPNs. Some of them are pretty good about it, but you still can't trust it. If they're based in the United States and the U.S. government comes to them and says, we need information on this person, they will likely have to cooperate. So be mindful of that. If you are looking to protect your privacy solely by using a VPN, it's not necessarily going to do everything that you want. And again, some of these companies do collect and sell your data, mostly with the free ones, but some of the paid ones do as well. So yeah, that's what I'd say about VPNs. They're a great tool, but be mindful that not everything is necessarily what it seems. Use zero-knowledge services. This is number 4. I'm going to read this one because I want to be very explicit on this. This is not one we talk about regularly. So, Google can read every email you send and receive. It's part of their service, right? It's on their thing. They do scan your stuff and present you with ads based on what you're doing. They're not necessarily spying on you, but they're spying on you. I mean, it's Google. Office 365 scans everything you write. Dropbox opens and examines everything you upload. All 3 companies, among others, are PRISM providers, per the Snowden documents, meaning they cooperate with mass surveillance programs. If Google can see it, so can folks in Washington. You have no privacy on any of these services. There you go. Pretty straightforward, right? Of course, you could encrypt everything before using Gmail or before uploading your vacation photos to Dropbox. If you care about privacy, you can figure out how to use PGP and can figure out how to use PGP. You probably should. Let's see here. What do we got? Or former Eastern Bloc countries, some of my favorite morals. Absolutely. That is a true story. On the other hand, though, you could choose to use service providers that advertise zero-knowledge file storage. While you can never fully trust that a service provider hasn't been backdoored, Dropbox alternative SpiderOak, based in the US, advertises zero-knowledge file storage. Protonmail, look at that, DefensibleRisk at protonmail.com, based in Switzerland, advertises zero-knowledge email and claims that it's mathematically impossible for them to hand over your email to a third party. So, using a zero-knowledge service where they advertise that they cannot see your stuff. If you want to maintain privacy and anonymity, it's worth checking into those. Protonmail, I'm using a free service. You can pay for a service. There are some issues. If you forget your password on Protonmail, that stuff's gone. You just write it off. You can change your password, but if you change your password, it changes the encryption keys, and anything that was in that mailbox is gone, just history. So what I did is I forwarded out a couple of emails to Gmail, I have to admit, because I forgot what my password was. And then I changed the password, and now I know what the password is, and I've got it stored in my password manager. I built the account, and I didn't store it in my password manager, which was kind of dumb. Password managers, make sure your password managers are zero-knowledge services, that they can't just provide those passwords to a third party, an interested third party. So, zero-knowledge providers are a way to go, depending on the level of protection you need. I use Gmail, I won't lie, right? But a lot of my stuff, it doesn't matter. For those things where I am more concerned about privacy and anonymity, I will use other services. I don't use Box or Dropbox or WeShare or WeTransfer or any of those services for those reasons. So I've actually set up my own service that I use. Are password managers good to use? Let me make sure I get your name right here. Goomback, yes. Good evening. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us. That's a very good question. I definitely recommend password managers. LastPass is a good one. 1Password is a good one. If you want a cloud-hosted one, those are the 2 biggies. There are other services you can use as well. Some that's just on your phone, but if you're not making your own backups, then you're going to be in trouble, right? If something happens. So you have to make sure that you're backing up those files if you're going to use a locally hosted one. And that's what I use. I use one that's locally hosted for my passwords and not in a cloud service. But definitely recommended. You should be, ideally, right, every website you go to that you have to create an account for has a different password. You might use the same email address, but it should have a different password. The idea is if one of them gets compromised, let's say, I don't know, you use some little shopping site and they get hacked and that password gets revealed in their hack, but you use that same password on your socials, right? Whether it's, I don't know, Insta, or I don't know if you're old, so Facebook, that's where all the old people are. That's what I've been told. Or Snap or whatever. Now they can try that email and password combination on your socials and get into it, right? If you've given that up. The reason I ask, if you're able to show you your password back, that means it isn't hashed, right? Not, well, hashed correct, but they could be encrypting it. And so when you put in your master key, it decrypts your data for you so they can show it to you. So it's not necessarily hashed. You don't necessarily want it hashed in your password manager. You want it hashed, let's say, at a website, but you don't necessarily want it hashed because you're right, you can't show it back once it's been hashed. If it's a reversible hash, it's not worth doing. So SHA-2 256 as your hashing on it. Do you trust password manager? I trust it as much as I trust any other computer program. How about that? So I have my master password and I keep that in my head. That goes nowhere. I don't share that with anyone and whatnot. But here's the problem, right? So I'm married. If I were to get hit by a bus on the way to work tomorrow, what would happen? Could my wife get into the bank? She doesn't know my master password. Now we have an agreement, right? Some people share passwords and stuff like that. I'm like, I will sit with you and you can look at anything you want. I've got nothing to hide. You can look, I will open any account that you want. You can read emails, you can read text messages, that's fine. But I'm not giving you my password. And she's like, well, you're a weird cybersecurity guy, so that's fine. So that's kind of the arrangement we've got worked out. Some passwords, but if she doesn't know my master password to my password manager, then it's not going to do her any good if I get hit by a bus, right? So I actually do write some passwords down. I keep them in a secure location that my wife does have access to if something were to happen to me, and that would be enough to get her by. Some stuff would be gone forever. She'd never get into my emails because there's no point in that. But she could get into the bank. She could get into whatever else is important, you know, whether it's, again, you can see I'm a slightly older guy, right? So I've got insurance. If you need to get an insurance company, you should probably have that password. Let's see. I was confused by this. It makes sense they can, at Max Encrypt, show it back to you. I didn't know how you feel about it because technically they can see it. Yes and no. Again, if you're using a local password manager like I do, theoretically, no one should be able to do that because it's only on my device, and then I have the backup of the encrypted file. If it's a cloud-hosted one, yeah, that's the way I do it. I'm also cheap, so you know I don't mind paying one time for an app, but I don't want to pay a monthly fee. I'm not big on that. You know, other stuff I don't mind paying monthly fees, but on stuff like that, no, I'd rather have that control. So I keep a backup of the encrypted file. But yeah, so theoretically you're right. If there are multiple decryption keys, they could be doing a key escrow kind of thing. You just have to check their policies and then have a level of trust. Because they could be doing key escrow where your key and decrypts their key, which then decrypts your data. Hash your master password, turn the hash into a QR code, and store a digital picture of the QR code on a DVD and place in a safe deposit box. I like it. I do like it. I have a pretty good idea of who you are now, Mephistopheles. That would, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you want to put it into a metal box, weld it shut, pour it into concrete, and then drop it into the Mariana Trench. That might be a little safer. Maybe. But you never know. You know, if an attacker is dedicated enough, because there's a comic I saw floating around one time, and it was like 2 panels, right? And it was the bad guys, the computer nerds, like, oh, they'll never get. But would your wife have access to it there? I'm gonna make a joke on that too, and I'm just, no, probably not. In a safe deposit box, she probably would. That's fair. It is extreme measures, but it is, yeah, it tips the scale towards security away from usability, but it would be fairly secure. I like it. So yeah, so the first frame says, they'll never get my password, and it'll take them millions of dollars to try and crack it or something like that. And the second frame is what would really happen is, the bad guy says, hit him with this $5 wrench until he gives us his password. So your passwords can be strong, but if you're still going to give them up likely give them up under extreme circumstances. So no, if it was in the bottom of the Mariana Trench, probably not. That's a good point. All right, so point number 5, back on track here. Be careful what you post online. Privacy is about autonomy, the notion that you choose to share what you want to share and to keep private what you want to keep private. This is so important. Depending on what you share, you may be giving away a whole lot more than you realize, even if it's in different places. So if you go on Facebook and put your real birthday in there, I'm just picking on Facebook here, and people wish you happy birthday. Okay, cool. And especially if you put the year in there. Oh, I love it when you do it, let me say. And then but that's all you say about yourself. You don't say where you live or what your full name is. Maybe you used part name or a nickname or something like that. But then you're over on LinkedIn because you're a business professional, right? So you've got your full name out there and maybe the region you live in. Well, between those two, I can start to build a pretty good profile, right? And then you're up on Insta and you post a cute picture of your dog. And so now I know the name of your dog. How many times have you been asked at a website, what's the name of your pet? So if I know your name, I've got an idea what your email address is, either from LinkedIn or from Facebook. Maybe you put your phone number in there. For whatever reason, you put your real phone number into a social media site. You could start to gather all of this, even though it's not all in one place and you think you're pretty safe. You have to be smart about what you're posting online across everything. And of course, we're just talking about bad guys here. If we're talking about your government probably already knows all this information anyways. They may not know the name of your pet, but they do know your birthday. And if you're a U.S. citizen, they know your Rex and fans, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it. They do know your birthday. They know your social security number. If you're a U.S. citizen, you've got a social security number, right? Social security numbers are another whole nother issue. I like that headband. It looks good. Let me throw some back at you. Thanks again, my friend. Oh, and see, I don't even have that set up on here. There's another thing that's supposed to happen on a different scene when you throw the seems good emote. So, be careful what you're posting, and things like if you're a broadcaster on Twitch, you got to be thinking about what you're telling people too. Some people are okay with sharing. Maybe I hate to say maybe it's generational. Maybe us old folks don't. But I really do care about my privacy and some level of anonymity on the internet. And I'm out here on Twitch talking to you guys, 6 times a week. So I have to really think about what I'm saying before I say it. So things like, I won't tell you how old I am. I won't tell you exactly where I live. Now, if you were to go and scour other stuff and find me, you'd probably put together a pretty good profile on me. But I don't use my real birthday anywhere, even on LinkedIn, the most professional of the professional sites, right? Especially when I was on Facebook, man, everything was fake. It was funny. January 1st is always my birthday when I go on social media. So I'd get like people who kind of knew me and extended family members who would always send me happy birthday wishes. I'm like, tells you how much you know about me. Go on some blind dates, really try and get to know someone. When is your birthday? How old are you? Childhood friend, first car, mother's maiden name. Yeah, that doesn't get too creepy, does it? That's one of the great things, though, about KBA, knowledge-based authentication. My voice is my passport. Oh, look at you go, bringing in the reference. C-Tech Astronomy. That was from that, probably one of the finest real hacker movies ever. Sneakers. That's what it's, I mean, it's old school now, but that's what it's really like. Yeah, My Voice is My Passport. That's right. Some of the other hacker movies, they're just fun rides, right? You know, Hackers or Swordfish or what, The Net. I should be smacked for even bringing that one into the same sentence, but that's okay. Tell us the truth, Defensible. What's going on, GTF? How are you, my friend? When you are hacking, it looks like the Matrix. Absolutely. See, what you can't see is I've actually got a little port on the back of my head, and I just plug the fiber optic cable straight in. And I don't even have to have a keyboard, no mouse, no displays. If I could do that with you guys here, I would on Twitch, but Twitch still requires this antiquated PC equipment. But when you get up on my level, you get that jack in the back of your head, man. It's instant. Viruses are kind of a bear, but so yeah, be mindful of what you're posting online, whether it's on socials or let's see. All I have is a barcode on the back of my head. Oh, you're one of them. All right, gotcha. You're in good company. That nice suit with that bright red tie, I'm digging it. Digging it, GTF. Thanks for being here. So yeah, what you say online, and man, that stuff never goes away, right? That was one of the things I really had to work with my kids on, because they didn't, I mean, they grew up with it. It was just the thing, right? I really had to work with them so that they would understand. What you say online is forever. Forever. Be mindful of that. Even if you think you've deleted it, man, it's somewhere, and it can still turn up. Even if you think what you're saying in private can still show up. The Sony hack a few years ago, when they dumped their emails, oh my gosh. From a private citizen perspective, that was entertaining as heck. The president of Sony Pictures didn't like Angelina Jolie or whatever. On socials, people love to reuse usernames. A simple Google query and pull up pretty much every account. Yeah, absolutely, Josh. If you're doing intelligence work, we call that OSINT, or open source intelligence. If you're gathering information on somebody, and there's even tricks you can do in Facebook which are just terrifying. You think you're safe out there. You think you've got your pictures private. You might be surprised. You might be surprised. And now in the job world, a lot of employers or potential employers want to see what your socials look like. You know, are you bad-mouthing your current employer? Are you caught on film or on film? You know, are there images of you messy drunk or on drugs? You know, marijuana is legal in some states in the United States and not legal in some states. If you are in an area where it's legal for recreational use, you know, you do you. I'm not going to judge you on that. But a potential employer just might. So you have to be really smart about what you're doing out there on social media. And sometimes it's not even your fault, right? You're up there and your friend takes a picture and then tags you in it. That's part of the permanent record. So you got to be watching that stuff. And if you were concerned about it, you got to be monitoring. And why did that just go dark? That was not helpful. Oh my goodness. All right, back up. Backup light, which is not nearly as good. All right, give me 2 seconds here. I'm going to get underneath the desk and fix this. Dagnabbit rabbit. I'm not sure what happened. So I've got this. Yeah, this is what I get for home automation. Umaru, how are you, my friend? Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hope things are well in your world. So I've got this ring light plugged into a smart outlet. And the smart outlet just decided that it didn't want to be smart anymore. So I'm going to have to actually climb under the desk. I apologize, all. Give me 2 more seconds here. So yeah, this lovely little smart outlet just decided to quit. I have no idea why. We'll play with that later. So be smart about what you're putting on social media, and be smart about what's being put about you on social media, because people are watching, like it or not. All right, so number 6, check those app permissions. This one is huge, huge. When you install an app on your mobile device, this is mostly what we're talking about here, it may ask for all kinds of insane permissions. Does your calculator app need access to make phone calls? No. Does your, what else? What's another app? I have so few apps. I don't actually use that many apps because of reducing my footprint, right? So let me pick one here. Any mobile gaming. Yeah, does any mobile gaming actually need access to your contacts? No, it really doesn't. Why would it? Let's see here. I've got a network analyzer application. I'm not saying they do it. I'm not even going to give you the name of the app. There's plenty of good ones out there. But does it need access to your call history? No. But there are apps out there that will just ask for everything. Hey, just give us everything, then it'll just work and it'll be fine. No, I don't think so. Well, then you have to also make decisions. Does Facebook need access to your camera? Maybe you don't want Facebook taking pictures. I'm okay with Facebook not being allowed to take pictures. I will take a picture and then upload it to my socials, but I don't think that I want the app to actually take pictures. There was a story 2 months ago. You don't allow Facebook to use your app to use your cam. No, that's probably wise. There was a story 2-3 months ago where Facebook had an error in their code that was turning on the camera and watching you while you were scrolling through your feed. It was a bug though, honestly. Facebook's really good about protecting your privacy. They care a lot. Believe that if you want. But yeah, they were turning the cameras on iOS devices while you were scrolling the feed. That's creepy as heck. No, you don't need access to my microphone. You don't need access to my camera. I have other ways. Yeah, it's an extra step or two, but no, just no. So, does that mobile game need to listen to your microphone? Well, maybe if you talk to the game, but a lot of games don't have voice control, so just say no. That's I feel like Nancy Reagan. If you're old enough to remember that, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, then you're like, what the hell are you talking about? So Nancy Reagan, former First Lady of the United States, had this big anti-drug campaign. Her thing was just say no. So just say no to unnecessary app permissions. Now there's some weird ones out there that I really still don't understand why, but I've done enough reading on it. So like, I've got some Bluetooth devices, and to work properly, they actually have to have access to your location data. And I'm like, why? But it's a way I use Android, and it's a thing that Google did with Android. Basically, you have to give permission to use location data. So I'm like, I step on my smart scale first thing in the morning, I get my weight and my body fat and my water content and my heart rate, and it goes all into the app, but they have to have location permission, which just thrills my little heart because it is a Chinese company and I don't know what they're doing with the data. Fortunately, it's like this much. They don't have access to anything else. They can do Bluetooth, and they can push data into my Samsung Health app. But then you have, there's another one, Samsung Health. I really like that app, don't get me wrong. It does need access to my contacts. Speaking of being safe, I had some random person text my Google number, a fake number I use for spam stuff, and he texted me his SSN and all of that info. That is bizarre. Wow. Huh. So you've got like a Google Voice number. I have 4 phone numbers that ring on my cell phone. Separating my life. I have different parts of my life on different things, but yeah, texted you his social security number and all that information. Told him he had the wrong number and to be safe next time. Yeah, that's terrifying. It's a good thing you got one of the good guys, right? Because if you were one of the bad guys, that could have gotten really ugly. God. So yeah, be smart about where you're texting things too. And honestly, I don't think I would recommend using text messages for all of that sensitive information. I'd hesitate to put a credit card into a text message. Exactly, even though I do wonder why you had to do that, I would never send my stuff. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, you know, credit cards is like the number I worry about the least because of limited liability, at least in the United States. You're only liable for up to $50 if you can prove that it's fraudulent charges. Now, if I take my credit card out and I hold it up to the camera so you guys can see it here on screen, that's on me. That they're not going to say that it was fraud because I gave you that number like I'm dumb. But if my credit card gets compromised, I'm only liable for $50. I'm still would hesitate to put that number into a text message, even to like my wife. She has the number, so it's not a problem. But you know, maybe with Signal. Maybe with Signal, I'd consider it to the right person. All right, but yeah, check those app permissions. Watch what they're trying to do. You know, social media, they want access to your contacts. Well, that makes sense because they're going to try and connect you with people you already know who might already be on their platform, right? But at the same time, then they're collecting that data and going, okay, so now even though this person's not connected, so I have people in my contacts that I know personally that I'm not connected with, let's say on LinkedIn. I don't need LinkedIn looking and going, well, maybe you should connect with this person. No, stop. Just stop. I will connect with who I want to connect with, and I won't connect with who I don't want to connect with. Thank you very much. So yeah, be mindful of your app permissions. That's a really important one and a really good tip. This author's done a pretty good job. I was actually pretty impressed with this article. All right. I have to warn you, this one's going to have a little bit of controversy. All right, are you ready? So, if you don't want to hear it, tune out for the next, 3 minutes. And I'll count backwards. In 3, 2, 1, here's the controversy. Use an ad blocker. They do a good job. A lot of ads, in the past, ad networks have been compromised and malicious software has been delivered through advertising. Websites make their money on ads, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. And websites that are not abusive of ads, I have no problems with. But the recommendation for privacy, for some anonymity, because there's a lot of tracking that gets done as well, is to use an ad blocker. Now, you're here on Twitch. This is where the controversy comes in. So I'm not telling you to use an ad blocker on Twitch. Matter of fact, unblock Twitch. If you're going to use an ad blocker, make sure Twitch has an exception. Be nice to Twitch. Be nice to your streamer. As an affiliate, I need to say that, just to be very clear. Please don't run an ad blocker on Twitch. Okay, now that I've said that. Ad blockers are fantastic. They do a good job of protecting your privacy, protecting your anonymity. I went to a website yesterday, and they're basically an advertising company. I was doing some research on the company itself. Their site was completely broken. I'm like, what is this? How can you possibly be a professional advertising company that sells people websites and whatnot and have your site look this terrible? And then I thought, oh, I wonder if it's my ad blocker. So I turned the ad blocker off. Guess what? Their site looked amazing. They actually had a really nice website. But the ad blocker completely broke it. I mean, it was terrible. It was just an utter mess. Links didn't work right. Images didn't show properly. It just was completely non-functional with the ad blocker turned on. So one of the things about running an ad blocker, be smart about it. And again, if it's a site you want to support the site. You can always set up an exception. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Umru. I will be mindful of that. It's terrifying. Yeah, it is the end of the day. I've got that well, what time is it? 7:30 p.m. shadow going. You don't care, but it's quite funny. All right, well, as long as it's not too distracting, it is going to wind up in the permanent recording of this, so good stuff. But thank you Thank you for letting me know that. Yeah, because I don't have any monitors on. I don't have any feedback on what it sounds like. I go back after the fact and try and watch it. But something like that I would probably have skipped over. So thank you for the feedback. I do appreciate that 100% of the time. So yeah, set up exceptions for the sites that you want to support. If you find a site that is particularly abusive, and they're out there. There are some out there, you know, it's 40% content and 60% advertising. It's like, nah, just no. So I do run an ad blocker most of the time. I don't block Twitch. I do actually watch the ads on Twitch. But again, does it support your streamer? Your streamer earns, what, maybe a penny per 30-second ad you watch. So does it hurt your streamer? No. Does it support your streamer? Yeah, you know. So feel free to turn it off and while you're on Twitch. The rest of Amazon, you know, do what you want, but Twitch, eh. All right, but an ad blocker is a good way to protect your privacy and your anonymity. And if you get one that also does like social media trackers, those are amazing as well. Because whether you have a Facebook account or not, Facebook has a profile on you and they track your movements because the cookies get on your computers and they fingerprint your browser. And so if you go to one site, and even the little, you know, like us on Facebook, Facebook tracks that kind of stuff. The Twitter button, the, you know, post or the Pinterest, pin it to Pinterest, all of those are social, all of those social media trackers are tracked by the companies. And if you have a blocker, then they lose some visibility. Not impossible for them to find you, but they do lose some visibility. That's why it's almost, how to be almost anonymous online. And then number 8, dump your home assistant. We talked about this very early this evening. I do have, let's see if I can do this without dumping everything off of my table. I'm talking about dumping things, but I'm going to actually only dump some of it. I do have an Amazon Echo. It is unplugged when I'm not using it because these things listen to you, whether it's an Amazon or a Google device. They listen all the time. Yes, they're listening just for the keyword to turn them on. Believe that if you want to. There have been a number of places where Amazon and Google and others have been caught out. Who are some of the other ones? Sonos used to do one with their smart speakers, but I think, didn't they team up with Amazon to install Alexa into the Sonos devices? Why have one in the first place? Darshan, I think that's how you say it, Darshan. Thanks for being here. Thank you for hanging out with us. So why have one in the first place? That's the $1 million question, right? Why do I have one? I didn't buy it. It was given to me, and I use it for a couple of very small things. Only when I'm streaming. So in the morning, on my morning streams, I do a workout stream, and so it's nice to be able to shout a command across the room. That's why I have it. Normally when my ring light is on, when it's on my smart switch, on my smart outlet, I can turn it on and off using my voice. Other than that, there's no point. I agree with you. Why bother? I have gotten spoiled. I do have a Fire Stick for the television, and that is also nice. But the thing about that is, for it to work, you actually have to push a button. I don't mind assistance when you actually have to do something for them to work. So I've got, you know, the Google Assistant on my phone, and theoretically, if I say, "Hey Google," okay, so it's not going to do anything. I actually have to take an action. I have to squeeze my phone so that it will start listening, in theory. Now your phones are probably always listening anyways. Or no, it's not even that. I did it wrong, didn't I? That's "Hey Siri." Okay, Google. Yeah, no, it didn't come to life. So I do actually have it set so it's not listening, again, in theory, when the screen's locked. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Why bother? I lived for a really long time without one and was just fine. It's a 50% chance of Google to work on my phone. LOL. I really like the Fire Stick, and Twitch works great. I used to watch Twitch on Roku, but then Amazon came out with the Fire TV and the Fire Sticks and whatnot, and put Twitch on there, and they just sort of let the Roku Twitch app die, which is kind of sad, because I really like my Roku. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, Umaru. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Again, I have to take an action. I actually have to squeeze my phone for it to come on, but even then, I'm probably 85% it'll work, because sometimes it acts like it's listening, but it's actually not listening. But yeah, no, I agree with you. You know, what's the point? GTF, when you become the finest or fittest man in the world. That's right, 100%. And someone hacks your PC, you're just going to beat them up. It's still brains over brawn, my friend. I still lean to brains over brawn. We have ways. We have ways of making people miserable. So that's where I lean. But yeah, if you can get rid of your Home Assistant, headbutt them. There you go. That's brains over brawn. Beat them with your brains. I like it. You got the right idea, GTF. I'm digging it. I'm definitely digging it. So yeah, if you can, you know. But on the other hand, I'm a computer nerd. Right? I've been doing computers a long time. It's cool. So the other side, yeah, it's terrible for your privacy, but man, it's cool to be able to talk. You know, I watched Star Trek growing up. Not the original. That was off the air before I was born. I'm just going to say that. But, you know, watching Scotty talk to the computer or whatever, how cool is that? Always wanted to do something like that. Age and treachery will overcome youth and strength. Spoken like a true old guy. Josh is old. I don't know. I'm right there with you, though. But yeah, if you can turn off your Home Assistant when you're not using it, it's not a terrible thing, but it's nice. Again, you know, if you want to listen to music, you just shout across the room. Sometimes, or put it on your phone, or put it on your, you know, your set-top box, your over-the-top box, like your Roku, like your Fire TV, like your Apple TV, whatever it happens to be. But even those guys. So I have a smart TV, right? And I don't use any of that stuff. God. So Samsung makes really nice televisions. I have a Samsung television. It's got all the smart stuff that's built into it. I don't use it at all. They use the Tizen operating system. I have zero confidence in Tizen. Not that I have a whole lot of confidence in iOS or Android, but they have a better track record than Tizen does. And Tizen's gotten better over the years, but you know, for a while there was. When did you first see a computer and go crazy, huh? So my dad opened the first computer store in the city we were living in way back. So I've literally been around computers as far back as I can remember. You can't really tell the size of my desk, but imagine a pretty standard desk. That was like the size of the first computer we had in the house. It was a Data General 4-user mini computer. And so, yeah, I've been around computers literally as long as I can remember, and always had fun with them. Whether programming or playing games or figuring out fun stuff like how to broadcast on Twitch, do have a good time with that. But yeah, that's pretty much, yeah, always. always. The blinking lights, we like the blinking lights. But yeah, so my smart TV is not currently connected to my Wi-Fi. I have a Roku connected to the smart TV, and I let the Roku do all of the streaming work. But the smart TV even then has, wow, and I thought I was old. I remember monochrome monitors though. Yes, are you thinking green, Josh, or are you thinking amber? Because both of those are pretty old school. Green screen computing, those were the days. So yeah, my smart TV actually has a microphone built into the remote control for the television. I'm like, oh no, I do not need one more thing listening to. But since it's not connected to Wi-Fi, it doesn't have any kind of internet access, I'm not worried about that one listening to me. And again, theoretically, you can see it, the Fire Stick, although it has a little microphone button, it's only supposed to listen when you're pushing that button, in theory. But since it's all theory, who the heck knows? All right, so there's your 8 tips. Green, I remember games on CGA. 5th grade, we got EGA. Very nice, Josh. That's pretty excellent. Whew, the good old days of CGA and EGA. Probably had an 8-bit Sound Blaster too, didn't you? Or maybe a Sound Blaster compatible card. So let's run down these. Let's run these down real quick. Like we've been going for almost an hour 10 now. We'll call it here. We won't get into this inside baseball stuff unless chat demands it. Just quick poll. If you want to get into this really, let's see. Do you think taking a picture of a check on a bank app is safe to deposit? That is. I do it. I don't have a problem with it. Is it safe? I mean, if your phone's been hacked, then no. But theoretically, once it gets to your bank, then once it's deposited, do that in air quotes, deposited, then it shouldn't be able to be deposited again. One of the things that my bank does is it actually makes you, instead of signing the back, we have to write a specific message on the back of there. How will you hack my money? All right, so the first question, GTF, is do you have any money? It's all in a plastic bin under your bed. I thought you buried it next to your gold bars. Yeah, no, there is something to be said for the analog world. We were talking about password managers earlier, right? For certain people, I recommend write all your passwords down on a piece of paper because it is more likely that you will be hacked than someone is going to break into your house and steal your passwords. I can't tell you where I keep the platinum. The platinum's all kept in your catalytic converter. That's where I keep my platinum. It's all in the catalytic converter. Use LastPass. Yeah, LastPass is a great solution. 1Password, LastPass, there's a number of them. Yeah, you have to trust somebody, right? So I use one on my local phone. I don't use one of the cloud-hosted ones. LastPass and 1Password and solutions like that are pretty great though because you can go, if you have a laptop and a desktop and a phone and a tablet, you can sync your passwords across all of them. You write all your passwords down in a notebook in a cabinet. Yeah, no, you can't hack it, right? I mean, if somebody breaks into your house and steals your notebook, then you're in trouble, but it's not hackable. So there is actually a measure of security in doing it that way. And I don't judge people for doing that. I think it's, in a work environment, it's a terrible idea, but in a home environment where you can closely control access, it's not a bad way to go. Yes, it's low tech, but like I said, you can't get ransomware, you can't get encrypted and lose access to it. I suppose if you had a fire, you might have a problem, but beyond that, no, it's not a bad way to go. So, 8 steps to being almost completely anonymous online. I'm going to give you the author, J.M. Porup, senior writer for CSO, which is CSOonline.com. And again, I will post the link to this story when this recording goes live on DefensibleRisk.com, February 11th, 2020. That's right, GTF. You asked for it, my friend. We throw it in there. I knew you'd like that. All right, so your 8 steps to being almost completely anonymous online. Step number 1, use Signal. Step number 2, use Tor. Start with those. Use Signal, use Tor. Low tech is the best tech. I write my passwords down and encrypt them with cursive. I feel like there's a millennial or Gen Z joke in there somewhere, Josh. Good grief. Yeah, absolutely, GTF. You ask for that, my friend. We can make that happen. So, number 1, use Signal. Number 2, use Tor. Go slowly. And if you use Tor, avoid the dark web unless you're feeling really adventurous. Number 3, don't expect anonymity from VPNs. Again, particularly with the free ones, a lot of times, God, I hate saying it this way, right? A lot of times they are run by Chinese companies, and the Chinese companies and the Chinese government have a different set of laws and a different different perspective, let's say, on privacy, because the privacy for people in China is not the same as the privacy for the people in the US or the people in the EU with GDPR. If you're on TikTok, anybody out there on TikTok? I don't know if this crowd's a little old for TikTok or not. But if you're on TikTok, that's a Chinese company. No LOL, right? I didn't know. I'm not on TikTok. I don't have a TikTok. I've played with it once or twice. I'm like, all right, I get it. That's fine. But I didn't do Vine either, right? And that was really, so, I mean, what do my socials look like right now? Obviously Twitch. I'm on Reddit. I'm on Twitter. And I'm on LinkedIn. I think that's the majority of it. I don't think anyone here is under the age of 16, right? And that's what I'm thinking. So if you're under 16, you might be on TikTok. Yeah, you never know, right? But no, sorry guys, you can't find me on Tinder or Grindr. I'm not on Match or Plenty of Fish. I'm off the market. Apologies for that. I'm not on Insta. People keep telling me I need to get on Instagram, but I'm just like, what you mean? I am happily married. So what am I going to do? LinkedIn is a dating site for professionals. Oh God, are you one of those, GTF? Please don't be one of those people. That stuff is the worst, man. You get a professional person out there and then you get just creepers. It's like, God, don't do that. So if you're on LinkedIn, don't do that. Leave people alone. You can be friendly, you can connect. Don't be one of those people who's out there looking for dates on LinkedIn. People don't like that. Your LinkedIn is you in a mask. Proper tiger mask, or is it just another luchador mask? I honestly probably wouldn't be on so many social medias if it didn't help out with my parents' business social media. That's fair. No, that's 100% fair. My wife is all over social media, except Facebook. And I know you guys have heard this story because Facebook has decided they hate her, and so they keep killing her account. Thank you, Josh is old. God. And is it actually? Oh, it does actually go to Ancestry.com. Yes, with the power of the mod, that does actually show up as a link. Yeah, Ancestry.com is not a dating site either. Oh, sweet home Alabama. Did I just say that? I can't believe it. I may have to go back and mute that one little part. Or maybe we won't. So yeah, I'm on social media because you can hardly avoid it anymore. I'm very picky about where I'm at, but the wife is on Twitter and on LinkedIn and on Pinterest and on Instagram. And I'm just like, oh, too much for me. Too much for me. So now I'm way ahead of it, right? Don't expect anonymity from VPNs. VPN services, oh, that's how we got there. We were talking about TikTok. VPN services, many of them, particularly the free ones, do sell your information, so you lose the anonymity that you think you're gaining. Not all of them do. I think NordVPN promises they don't do that, and I think ExpressVPN promises they don't do that. Both are pay services, but if that's what you need, it's not a bad idea to have a VPN to begin with. Use zero-knowledge services for stuff that you're concerned about. If you're not concerned about anything and you just don't care, okay. But if you do have some stuff that you're concerned about, Protonmail, I use Protonmail for this. It's a good service. It works really well. It's a little slower than I might like sometimes, but it is all the way across the ocean. And theoretically, they can't get to any of your stuff. So not a bad way to go. And what was that other one? I actually hadn't heard of that other one. Spider Oak. So it's like Dropbox or Box or WeTransfer or something like that, but it's a zero knowledge. So they claim they can't get to your stuff. I'd never heard of them before reading this article. I'm going to check them out tomorrow. Be careful what you post online. Back to the social media. And it's not just social media. If you have your own website, DefensibleRisk.com is my website. It is used exclusively for promoting basically this. It looks really good on a resume to have your own website. I'm just saying. So if you do, be careful what you're posting out there. All right, GTF, be well, my friend. Thanks for being here and thanks for hanging out with us. I really do appreciate it. And make like a banana split. Tomorrow I got to wake up at 5 a.m., so maybe I'll hop on and do some reps for Dolph. Nice. Bring it. I will be ready for you. We'll be ready for you. Thanks again. Get some rest. So yeah, be careful what you post online. Regardless of what it is. You know, I have fairly strong political ideals. Ideals is a strong word. Beliefs. Man, there's no need to post that. It doesn't do any good. And there is a joke about arguing on the internet, which I will not make because it is politically incorrect. But if you were to look up arguing on the internet memes, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. So, yeah, arguing on the internet, you get nothing. Nobody wins. And you're not going to change my mind, and I'm not going to change your mind arguing back and forth over the internet. Why bother? Unless there is one gig out there. I don't know if you guys heard about this. It broke, was it yesterday or today? Michael Bloomberg is hiring people in California to post on their social media constant stuff, trying to pump them up, and they're getting about $2,500 a month. That's not a bad gig if you can get it. No, he doesn't want me. I'm not young enough and cool enough. But if you are young enough and cool enough and you are in California, look up the Michael Bloomberg campaign. He's a Democrat running for president. Whether you like him or not, that's not the point. The point is he's paying people $2,500 a month to post on their socials good stuff about him. So how cool is that? So then it might be worth posting political content. Yeah, that's right. $2,500 a month, nothing to sneeze at. I mean, it's not like it's a 10-year kind of gig, but a couple of months, and if you can do it on top of your job, or if you have one of those jobs where nobody notices you playing on your phone and you're posting stuff, you know, text your people in your contact list and post on your socials, and put it into savings. Yeah, 100%. So that would be a time when I would consider getting political in my social media postings. We know what you are, now we're just haggling price. Check those app permissions. Oh my God, really seriously. Go through your permissions. iOS has made this relatively easy. Android has made this relatively easy. You can see what permissions are out there and then see what apps have those permissions and turn off stuff that doesn't make sense to you. It may break some things. Like I said, my smart scale needs to have my location data because of the way it uses, it's called BLE, Bluetooth Low Energy, and the way that Google has written their Bluetooth Low Energy stack. It has to have access to location data. I don't know why, it just does. All right, Umaru, let's go. It's a good way to do it. So think about what you're doing, and when you install a new app, if it asks for something, say no. It might not actually break things. It's like, yeah, you don't actually, my flashlight doesn't need to make phone calls. It just doesn't. Just doesn't need to make phone calls. Number 7, use an ad blocker, except on Twitch. Don't use an ad blocker on Twitch. Support your streamer, support Twitch. Other than that, you do you. Number 8, dump your Home Assistant. If you can turn off your Echo, if you can turn off your Google Home Assistant, if you can turn off your smart speaker, Bixby. We've got to remember Bixby, the third wheel of the Home Assistant world. Samsung's Bixby. I don't actually know anybody who owns a Bixby device other than maybe if it's built into their cell phone. But they have standalone devices like your Echoes and your Echo Dots that run Bixby. And there's the other one too, Cortana. If you have Windows 10 on your computer, you have a voice assistant. So if you have a microphone, theoretically, Cortana could be listening. And anybody remember, I always turn Cortana off first thing when I'm installing Windows. That's right, Umaru. 100% uh-oh is correct. I always turn Cortana off first thing when I'm installing Windows. I've never used Cortana. Bixby is annoying. Don't think I can buy another Samsung phone. Can you turn off Bixby? Darshan, I messed that up. Darshan, can you turn Bixby off? Because again, I don't think I actually know anybody who has Bixby. All she hears from me are cuss words. Fair enough. Fair enough. You can turn it off, but you can still accidentally swipe it or press a big button to Bixby. Got it. I remapped the button. I don't know if it's fully off. So it's kind of like the Google Assistant on my phone. And the workaround is janky. Nice. Yeah, when they get embedded in there. I have told Google repeatedly, gone into the settings, do not listen while you're on the lock screen and do not respond to OK Google. Just don't. And sometimes it still does. I'm like, oh my God, how many times do I have to tell you not to do this? If I squeeze it and I want the Google Assistant, that's fine, but don't be listening. And it still does sometimes. So yeah, I can imagine it gets buried in there and difficult to root out. But yeah, so I always turn off Cortana, but there was a missed opportunity there. I don't remember what the command is. Does anybody know what the Cortana command is? Like, hey Cortana or something like that. What they should have done was, Cortana, I need you. I might have actually, as a huge Halo fan, I might have actually been tempted to use Cortana if the command was, Cortana, I need you. But missed opportunities, what are you going to do? So there you go, 8 tips and suggestions on how to better your anonymity online. Thoughts on that? Questions on that? Questions on other cybersecurity related stuff? Yeah, we're not going to go into this other article now that we're almost 90 minutes in. Oh. You know, I really appreciate y'all being here this evening, hanging out with me, talking about cybersecurity. Like I said at the front end, I really do love this stuff. It seems that way. It seems that way. It's a good thing my last name is not Faust. Then I'd be in trouble. It's too funny. And I have figured out who you are, so we'll have to chat. Whoa, Josh is old coming in with the hot offer. Good grief. Josh, you are much too kind to this channel. I do appreciate you. Might help if they were a follower. We'll start with that, right? Or not, maybe. I don't even know. That's okay, too. We're out here having fun and talking about cybersecurity. Like I said, we've got a reply. Josh is old is actually very generous to the stream and a huge supporter, and I appreciate him very much. So yeah, cybersecurity on Wednesday evenings, workout show 5 mornings a week, and we have a good time with it. So yeah, I think that's us for the evening. If you have any questions, again, you're always free to reach out to me at DefensibleRisk on Twitter, DefensibleRisk at Protonmail.com if you'd like to email me securely, DefensibleRisk.com for an archive of our technical and cybersecurity related content, where this show will be posted up tomorrow evening. And if you're watching anywhere else, it's twitch.tv/DefensibleRisk. My name is Dan. This has been Defensible Risk for February 19th. Oh, he did it, the madman. Umaru gets the gifted sub. Josh is old. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated, Josh. And that's awesome, Umaru. I still don't have a name for the community. We're still working on that. I've got to come up with a good name. The Risk Takers is about the best I've got right now, and I still don't think that's very good. Wow, thank you, Josh. And congratulations, Umaru. That's awesome. So with that, I think we're going to pull the plug. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for hanging out. Thank you for the questions. I appreciate everybody coming in. And Mephistopheles, I'm just not sure what to do with you. Josh is old. Umaru, Darashan, if I'm saying that correctly. If I'm not, let me know. I'd like to make sure I'm saying it correctly. GTF hanging out with us, but he had to bounce. I'll make sure I'm not missing anybody here. I know I'm missing at least one other person. God, my eyes are so bad on this screen. Goombak, yes, thank you for being here. Thank you for asking questions. And Riskateers, that's not bad. Not bad. Ball Resin, thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Darashan, thank you again for hanging out with us. I'm going to take that into advisement. I actually like that. Risketiers, that's actually pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. Huh, we'll consider that. So thank you for being here. If you want to help me earn 2 pennies, I am going to run 90 seconds of ads as soon as I hit this end screen. And if you'd like to hang out, let's try that again. That was really poor. Professional streamer, promise. Wow, look at Josh's old. Thank you, Josh. I don't even know how to say thank you enough. Thank you. Yeah, let's try this again. We stream 6 days a week. Ball Resin, thank you for following. We are small, but we are mighty, and people like you help us grow every day. Thank you very much for the follow. Darshan is now following as well. Thank you, Darshan, very much. Like I said, we're small, but we're mighty, and you're helping us grow. Thank you very much to both of you. Very much appreciated. So we stream 5 mornings a week. Tomorrow morning we'll be here 4:30 a.m. Pacific time doing a workout. You're always welcome to come back in. We talk about just about anything at that point, cybersecurity included, but life in general. It's good stuff. And until we speak again, my friends, be well and be safe. And yeah, we'll talk soon.